So this time we're trying to find an angle, but I claim that the steps are exactly the same. Step 1, label the triangle. I can see my longest side here is the hypotenuse. I can see that opposite the angle that's involved is this side length of 6, and yes, this is the adjacent down here, but by now I think you're realizing that that's not especially involved. Involved are either things that we are given or things we're trying to find. So in this case, it's the opposite and the hypotenuse which are involved, and there's no adjacent. Okay, so I've done my label the triangle. I now need to decide is it sin, cos or tan. So I'll look up here for the thing that has opposite and hypotenuse but not adjacent. And it's this one, isn't it? This has opposite and hypotenuse, there's no adjacent here. These two both have adjacent in, so it's not that one. So it's SOH. Recall that SOH is actually an entire relationship. Its sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'd say that's the same, that's the same. This is going to be the same as well. I will substitute what I know. So for this particular question, the angle is called x. The opposite is 6, and the hypotenuse 17.6. All the units are consistent, so I can just substitute straight in. If the units were different, you'd have to convert all the units to be the same first of all. Now what I need to do is get x on its own. Now this doesn't say sin multiplied by x, so often students think, oh, all you have to do is divide by sin. Good idea, but it doesn't say sin multiplied by x. It's the sine function of x. So you need the exact opposite of sin. Turns out, that's on your calculator, the exact opposite of sin is written above the sin button. You see it's got a little -1 next to it, sin -1. So if you press shift and then sin, that's the exact opposite of sin. So in this case, to get rid of sin, I'll do sin -1 at both sides. If you undo the sin over here, you've just got x. That's the whole point of doing it. Undo the sin over here. It looks like that. And that's what I'm going to type in. So in order to type that in, I go shift sin like that, and it comes up with a little -1. There's lots of ways of getting a -1 on there, but that's the way you've got to do it. So we're not messing about with the power button or anything like that to get the -1 on there. Fraction button next. Or you could do a division instead. That would work just as well. 17.6. I think again you have to close the bracket, otherwise it gets upset. So we've got 19.932 blah blah blah. Okay, and I need to round that to something sensible, so I'll go 3 sig figs. Well, once again, that's going to... Oh, no, it's 19.2, sorry. It's 19.9, sorry. Apologies. Units here, be careful. A common mistake would be to say the units here are millimeters. They're not. I've just found an angle, so the units are degrees. Okay, so to recap everything we've learnt, I showed you how to label a triangle. Okay, this was labeling a triangle. Should be simple enough. Okay, the longest side is the hypotenuse. The one that doesn't touch the angle is the opposite. The one that's next to the angle is called the adjacent. When you read SOHCAHTOA, actually each little 3 letters means an entire little formula. I showed you how to find sides, and that sort of splits into 2 cases. Once you've done the substitute stage, you might get something easy like x on the top, so just multiply by the thing that it's divided by and you're done. Or you might get something a little bit more complicated. So this one here, once you substituted x was on the bottom, so it's still the same, still multiply up by it, bring it up here, but you're not quite finished because you want x on its own. So to undo that, you're going to divide by the tan 38. That's what this is for, dividing both sides by tan 38, because it is an equation after all. You type it in, you round it, give the units. And finally, the most recent thing I've just shown you is finding angles. But the steps are the same as label the triangle, decide which it is, then you substitute and you solve. Be careful here, the units will be degrees. The way you undo sin is sin -1. The way you undo cos is cos -1. So that's this thing here. And the way you undo tan is tan -1. It's always pressing the shift button first if you're intending to find an angle. Okay, good luck.